You want to lead?
Hey, Lorianne and John here. We're excited to be with you again today. And we're here with Brainpower Breakthroughs. And I think that we're getting close to like 20 episodes or so, John. This is pretty amazing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So we are here today to talk about success for teens and young adults. And when I was doing my research, I know in previous episodes we've talked about this a little bit, but when I was doing my research on writing books, the topic came up about teen success and things that teens are searching for. So when I was doing the research to dive in, what I was assigned to do was look at all the 3-star comments that are on all of the #1 books and in this area for teen success. And the one thing that was common that I noticed is teens and their parents were looking for more information in these books about death, divorce, and suicide. And we've covered divorce in some of our previous episodes. And today I wanted to ask John about, the topic of death and what that is meaning, especially right now where you've been given, your life altering diagnosis. And not that that has to define who you are, but it put a spin in your life. And also you
That's for
have,
sure.
yeah, I mean, it's like we're talking about brain power breakthroughs, and you've been having this massive breakthrough of your own with facing this challenge of having brain cancer. So
Yes.
let's talk about that a little bit. And
Mhm.
we've both had experiences with loved ones very close to us passing to the next life. And it's not a topic that we shy away from. We are happy to discuss this. And if there's any questions that you have, please make sure that you ask us about this. But today, as we share a little bit, I want to be very vulnerable and open and share with John what that looks like in dealing with facing death or having tragic death occur around you and
Mhm.
your loved ones passing on. So, John, how would you like to get started with this?
Well, I'll start by saying this. I have had a number of family members um, make their transition already. I lost my grandmother and my grandfather, my dad, two uncles, my brother, the most recent one. He died last August.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and so, the one thing you've got to realize, and, there are some people that joke about this a lot. And the biggest joke going on out there in regards to death is, ain't nobody getting out of this alive.
Right. Right.
Okay.
We all
Eventually,
bought a round trip ticket, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, that's one of those things that you just kind of have to learn to live with the idea of it.
Right.
Does it make it any easier when it happens? No,
Mm.
but learning to understand it and learning to understand your role in it is where it makes the difference for you. My role in my family members passing on was to be there for my other family members to help them understand and move on. I think that's the biggest issue that a lot of people, when some very, very dear, close family member transitions, is how do we move on from that point?
Right.
Okay. And I'll answer that by telling you how my wife and I are moving on, knowing that my own mortality is pretty rare, pretty, you know, I'm staring it straight in the face.
Right.
Okay. My disease does not have a warning signal. Okay. The one thing I learned very early on when I heard about what I had, I did a lot of research, did a lot of reading and all that. One thing I learned from the get-go was this thing has no warning.
Right.
I could go to sleep, and I will say this, the vast majority of the people that make their transition with this, they make it at night when they're sleeping.
Oh,
So I could go to bed at any given day and not wake up the next morning. Now, I will say this, there was a while where I sat and I thought, boy, do I want to know when that night is? And I'll be honest with you, I asked that question to some friends of mine, and some of them actually said, yeah, I'd want to know. I'm going to tell you, I don't.
yeah.
Because if I knew that Friday night was my night, I wouldn't go to sleep Friday night.
Right.
I'd be too scared to.
Yeah.
So, you've got to face things with um when you're looking at this type of thing. There's two ways that I think we need to face it. Number one is with the most powerful strength we can in our own faith. Okay. I know through my faith that I'm going to be okay after this is all over. You know, my soul will live on. It will do a lot of the things that I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
So, understanding what your soul does after you pass on, you know, and those of you that know me know I kind of take a humorous approach to pretty much everything because that's just one of the things I do. Well, I've already decided that when I transition, I'm going to reincarnate as a professional golfer.
Awesome.
You
Awesome.
know, I thought about, well, what have I done the most of? What would I be more successful at? Well, football, because that's my background.
Right.
But I thought about it and I thought, you know what? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of hard work, and that's a lot of physicality, beating yourself up with other guys on a football field and all that stuff. And I thought, you know what? I already gone through that once. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
And so I thought of different things, and all of a sudden, and it's so funny because I'm sitting at my desk and I actually have a trophy from the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl 2 years ago. I have a trophy sitting on my desk. And in one of the little trays that holds the football up, I have two golf balls sitting in it. And I thought, wait a minute, golf, individual sport, so I don't have to rely on somebody else, play outside where the weather's nice. I'm good with that. And so all of a sudden it just hit me. I want to come back as a golfer. So that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. I
you
love it.
know,
I love that you have the outlook of, transitioning or whatever word people want to use, but
yeah.
just that there is this life after death, whatever it looks like for you or whatever you believe in. And some people
Hmm.
don't have those beliefs, but I feel like when we have something to hold on to like that, and that we
Hmm.
really can deeply feel that inside of our heart, that
Yeah.
it's easier, it's easier to have conversations around it and talk about it. And
It's
I,
much easier to talk about it.
And I'm excited that you and your wife, Amy, are experiencing this time now where you're communicating these feelings instead of not talking about the elephant in the room, you
Yeah,
know, that you're
yeah,
talking about it. You're expressing feelings. You're saying how you want to live right now today, how you want to live
yeah.
tomorrow, plans that you're making. And
And I'll say this as well, Lorianne, in discussing my side of the story, it also allows us to discuss Amy's side of the story. What do we want her to do after I'm gone?
right,
That's a really hard question to answer if you're not ready to.
right.
So, I would definitely put out there that if you've got a loved one that is in that position and is, looking at their own mortality, talk about what both of you want
Yeah.
afterwards, because that makes it much more important to you. And
So
it makes it much more easier to talk about it. Death is
yeah,
not an easy thing to talk about. But when you can discuss ideas and wishes that you want to fulfill afterwards, then it's not quite as big as the elephant in the room, like you were saying.
yeah,
It's maybe some baby elephant, or not even that. It just makes it, the more you can communicate with your loved ones, I promise you, the better off it will be.
yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to. Everything that Lorianne and I are trying to teach you guys is everything that you come up against. The key ingredient to making it an easier transition and an easier thing to deal with is that word, communication. The more you communicate, the easier it will be for you to handle.
Yes,
So,
I feel like you have to find a safe place, a safe person to be
yeah,
able to do this with. And
yes.
if it's not the actual person, find someone, because that is the most important. I remember after my parents died, and I was only 18 years old, but I was working at a hospital, and sometimes it would get really slow in the afternoons around, after lunchtime, there just was not much to do. And we all gathered around what's called the light table. So we would take the x-rays, and there's this big light table that we would put all the x-rays on, and we'd gather around this room because there were lots of places that we could stand, and was kind of in a circle, a big circle, and people would share. And so many times they would ask me, well, how are you feeling? How are your sisters? How is the baby doing? How is the house going? Like they asked me questions, and it was such a safe place. And I got to tell it while it was happening, like struggles we were going through, and things. And I know they felt sorry for me, they felt bad for me, but they never really showed that. What they showed me was a lot of love, and a lot of
Mhm.
concern, and a lot of um, just thoughtful.
Compassion.
Yeah, yeah, compassion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How
Letting
cool
me
is that?
letting me talk, and and it didn't go anywhere. Like, I mean, maybe they went home and, told their husbands or wives or boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, and, just this poor girl in the x-ray department.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it didn't go anywhere. Like, we didn't have
Right.
social media back then. There wasn't anywhere for it to go. And so it was such a safe place for me to share.
That's cool.
And so I really feel like that is key to being able to deal with death, to face it, to talk about it, to express your feelings, to
Uh-huh.
ask your questions.
Right.
And there's nothing that is wrong. There are so many beliefs. I have my own belief system. John has his belief system. I mean, there's so many people I have been
Hmm.
around in the world that believe different things around death
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
what happens and how, how people transition or,
Hmm.
go through the veil, or I've heard lots of different words
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
And I don't think that part matters as much as what is it that you're experiencing inside and what questions do you have? There are no dumb questions.
Not when it comes to this. No.
No, because we just need to understand where this person is and how is it best for us to grieve and mourn and
Mhm.
celebrate their lives,
Yeah.
how important that is.
Yeah. Very much so.
So when you lost your brother last year, that must
Yes.
have just been, that must have been
You
so
know,
hard.
I will say it was horrible because, he came down with throat cancer, and it basically just chewed away his whole throat.
Mm.
And so it was one of those that not only did we know he was struggling with it, we could see it.
Oh,
And oh my gosh, was it ugly. And
mm,
you just, I felt for him so bad because I knew how much pain he was in.
mm.
And, so being there to console him and to help him with his pain meds, that was my only saving grace, was to be able to console him. I talked to him. He used a whiteboard. I would ask
Oh,
him questions and he'd write his answers on a little whiteboard. And so that was our form of communication.
mm,
And it worked out very, very well as long as he could do it. It got to a point where he just couldn't physically, his body was so weak he couldn't physically do it anymore.
right.
So, but just letting him know that I was concerned for him and that I was there for him and that if he needed his pain med to let me know, all he had to do was tap on his whiteboard. I knew that's what it meant,
Oh,
you know. But giving them a method of communicating and giving them a method of telling you how they feel,
yeah,
you know, I think anytime someone was struggling with anything, giving them an outlet to communicate their struggles,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I will tell you the one thing I will tell you about, when it comes to death and dying, and I'm gonna throw suicide in here as well.
Okay.
Um, if you are in the midst of dealing with a family member, a friend, a coworker, or whoever who is going through the process of their own mortality, and you don't know what to say, don't panic, okay? Send me an email. We'll talk, okay? If you've got any of those people that are I'm just going to throw this out there. If you have someone that you know is suicidal, please reach out to me immediately. I have a very, very good friend of mine that has a business of his own called I Rel8.
And is that
And
something that people can look up online?
it's actually an app.
Oh, an app.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jeff created this app and he created this platform, and it is exclusively created to help people get through suicide.
So
So if you have
people who are
any,
feeling suicidal or
yeah,
the loved ones left behind.
yes,
Oh, so it's for both.
yeah. So, yeah, if you have anyone that's in those modes, reach out to me, please. We can get you the help you need.
And the app is called I Can Relate.
The app that Jeff has is called I Relate.
I relate. Okay.
I Relate. Yeah.
I relate. Okay.
And I'll try and put a picture of the app in the chat, or in the show notes or something.
Okay.
So because it's kind of a funky looking little app type thing. But yeah, Jeff has helped many people get past and through the bondage, I want to call the bondage of suicide. So because
Okay.
personally, I think that's what it is. I think once it gets a hold of you, it doesn't let go, and that's bondage. And I
Okay.
don't want anybody to have to go through that. So please reach out to me and let me know. I'll get you the help you need for that.
That is such a great resource. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
that
You are welcome.
anything that we can do to help through this,
Yeah.
um,
You know,
and we've both experienced a lot around our loved ones passing
I
on.
mean, my dad passed away after a 12 and a half year battle with cancer.
Holy cow.
Here's what I will promise you. Even when you know there's an issue and it's inevitable, the day it happens, it's not any easier.
Mm-mm. I agree.
I knew for 12 years that dad's day was coming.
Yeah.
The morning my stepmom called me and said, "Hey, Johnny, just wanted to let you know your dad is at peace.
Mm.
He's no longer in pain." I'm already tearing up already, guys. It just hurts.
Yeah.
Death hurts. There's no way around it.
Right.
It hurts. So reach out and get help. There's nothing wrong with that. And no one that you reach out to, I promise you that no one is going to look at you as being weak,
No.
as thinking, well, you're the one that needs help. You know, it's just that struggle. Death is just ugly.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that sometimes it's very gracious. I know, I will say this. I have had a ton of people reach out to me and let me know how strong they see me being through my ordeal and how inspirational I am going through my ordeal. And you know what? That's all fine and dandy, but it still hurts. I'm
Right.
glad I can be an inspiration to people. I I hope I am inspirational to people to help them understand how they can get through these things. Because it's not easy, folks.
Mhm.
It's not.
No,
But
and
you
it's brave of
can't make it.
you. It's brave of you to be vulnerable, even talking about it here,
Yeah,
in our
it's
little cell
tough.
that we have.
It is tough. But,
Yeah.
you know, you
What
can
is
be strong. You can be inspirational to others. Let people love on you, my God.
that's what I was going to ask you. What are some of the things that people have done that have helped you?
Well, I will tell you the biggest thing that people have done through my ordeal is feed me.
Well,
I have had so many friends bring me food.
hmm.
And I will be the first one to tell you I've got neighbors that I did not realize this, but they're damn good cooks.
So nice. Sometimes
But
food is the answer.
yeah, no, that sometimes that's, I mean, I will tell you, my first 4 days home from the hospital after my two surgeries, I could not wait to see what was on my food plates because Amy'd always tell me, well, so and so and so and so is bringing food today. I would start smiling because I knew that meant, oh, that's going to be some good stuff, you know? So it's just,
So food has been one thing. What are some other things that people have done?
I've had visitors that have come and just sat and talked with me. I've had people call me and just say, hey, John, I've got 25, 30 minutes. If you want to just sit on the phone and chat, we can.
Wow.
Absolutely. You know, would love to. I had, this was kind of an ironic one. When my brother passed away last year, one of his best friends, my brother worked as a nurse in a major hospital
Mm.
up in Des Moines, Iowa. And one of his best friends went through nursing school with him, did all that kind of stuff. They worked together on the same ward. They just became best of best of best of best of best of friends. He showed up at my house yesterday morning at 9 o'clock,
Wow.
unannounced. I did not know he was coming.
Mm.
He said, well, I knew you were battling this, but I didn't know how far along you were. I didn't know whether you were given a time frame of what you knew you had left. But he goes, I also knew you were Jeffy's brother, and I could not stand it to not get here and see you.
Mm.
And I thought, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
He stayed here for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
Now, to put this into perspective, he had to drive 6 hours to get to me.
Mm.
So he woke up yesterday morning, drove 6 hours to come to my house, and then spent over 3 hours with me, and then turned around and drove 6 hours back to his own home.
Wow.
And we had such great conversations
Mm.
and just loving on each other. And, I kind of adopted him as another brother last year when my brother was going through his ordeal. And so, just knowing that I had another brother out there that was caring for me, you know,
Yeah.
that's pretty doggone cool.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I have an army of spiritual warriors out there that are praying for me, thinking positive vibes for me, caring for me, reaching out and sending me texts, all that kind of stuff. It is amazing how good that actually makes you feel when you're going through something like this. So, yeah, let people hug on you, please.
And it sounds like you let them serve you, visit you, and, be around you. So
Yeah,
it makes the days not so
yeah,
long.
it definitely does. It definitely does.
Because I know that
That is for sure.
Amy is working, and
Yeah,
so, she's got to work. And
yeah.
um, okay,
Yeah,
well,
because we still got bills and a house to pay for. So yeah,
that's
somebody needs to work.
that's
So
right.
yeah, she's still working as diligently as she can, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that she can just still do that. Um, she still takes care of me when she needs to. Her daughter takes care of me when Amy's busy. I've got a neighbor that comes and takes care of me when I need it. You
And
know,
then did you just start some extended care also?
I'm sorry to say that again.
Did you start some extended care also?
We start a hospice program this coming week.
Okay.
And that's for those of you that don't know what hospice is, those are medically trained caregivers that come help you take care of yourself, take care of whatever needs you may have, personal, as well as your caregiver, whatever needs they may have. and then whatever needs you may have around the house.
Wow.
So they're just a great group of people that are there saying, what do you need?
I
That's what
think
we're here.
that's so important for people to know that that's available. I think
Yes.
people only think that that is end of life care, and
Yeah.
it's not just that. It is when people are transitioning from nursing homes to home, when people are, there's all different levels of hospice care.
Yes.
And so that it's such a blessing, and there's no time frame. Like, you can have them come, and you can then tell them if you don't need them to come, and then, they can come back.
Yeah.
So I love the flexibility of hospice.
Hmm.
And
I know a guy that's been, I know and he's not a neighbor of mine, but he lives down the street and to the left a little bit from our house. He has been under hospice care for 2.5 years.
right, yeah, yeah. And it
So
helps so much with the caregiving.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Very true. Very,
so
very
great.
true.
Great, great things that we were able to discuss today.
Absolutely.
What are the action steps, I guess, that we talked about today, or some of the support that we talked about today?
Well, first of all, first and foremost, if you're in the middle of this type of thing, communicate, reach out, talk to somebody, ask questions. Okay. Don't be afraid to ask questions because the people that have been through this, they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
So, first and foremost, ask questions. Secondly, reach out for help. Okay. Like I said, if you're struggling with someone getting ready to die or someone that just died, shoot me an email. We'll talk. You and I'll get on a phone call or just get on an email blast, and we'll figure it out for you. Um, you know, it's amazing how precious we look at life,
right.
and when you can have help looking at it as well, that's what makes it even more amazing.
Yeah,
So, just above all, everything else, just communicate, reach out, ask questions. You know, we're here to help.
right. And I always say, in these times, it's so nice to find some kind of a distraction.
Yeah,
Laughter, anything. I know right after my parents passed away, there was a family that came and picked all of us up, took us to their mansion up on the hill, bought pizza and pop, and had movies playing in their theater, and let us invite a few friends. And some people were so judgmental of us, thinking that we were partying, while all of this was going on with our family. But I have to tell you, they were so smart in taking us away from the sadness and the grief and the just that, oppression that was in the house. And they knew we were teenagers. And so they took us away, and they let us just relax and be in this great big huge house, and just have all the food, and there was music, and fun videos that were playing. It literally was one of the most memorable things. There were a lot of people that did a lot of things for us, but
that is cool.
that was so memorable for me.
Yeah,
And I just thought, if I can ever do that, I'm going to do that. And
yeah.
a year and a half ago, my friend's husband passed away, just unexpectedly, had a stroke and a heart attack. And I immediately sent her a text message and said, my house is available. It's stocked with food. whenever you can get here, please come. And it was a few weeks after the funeral, and she said that she was headed this direction. And she stayed here for a week. And I knew that she plays a piano. She plays piano like amazingly. So I made sure that there was music left out. And she came all by herself. And she
That's
stayed
cool.
here and she swam in the pool and she just played the piano and there was plenty of food. And she was just able to like get away for a minute.
And
So
think about the memories that she took away from that.
yeah,
Instead of the memory that was surrounded around the death,
right.
she probably took away some memories of all the music that she so enjoyed.
Yeah,
You know, that is a powerful tool, people.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and my idea is give a playlist to somebody. Like you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, but maybe you've got a favorite playlist of just some really, upbeat, fun, happy, just
Hmm.
music
Yeah.
that there's an idea, for that. And I mean, how cool would that be, John, if somebody put a playlist together for you that you could listen to when people are not visiting you, when you are lonely, when you are
Hmm.
tired, like in those
Yep.
moments, how cool would that be?
That'd be pretty
I'm
cool.
just, these are just ideas that I know people have done for us when we went
Uh-huh.
through these things.
I need to call Evan.
There you go. Call somebody and
He's my
say,
music guy.
I need a playlist.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool.
Oh, well, what a great message that we've been able to share today in, talking
Yeah.
about death and suicide and caregivers and the things that we can do to help people. And let's just really give that one nudge. Make sure you communicate, ask those questions,
Yes.
and
Please.
talk to people. What are they feeling? What are they going through? How are you doing?
Yeah, I don't think I could stress the word communication enough.
Yeah.
So, by all means, talk to me, people. Talk to me.
I love it. Okay, well, thanks for being here with us today. If you've got any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. And John, take it away.
Yes. So, thank you all for being on our episode. Don't forget, hit that little subscribe button, hit that little round bell to be notified when we get a new one coming out. And by all means, share this with your friends and your family because you never know who's in the middle of this struggle, you know? But we're here. We're here to help. The whole basis behind this is that word communication. And that makes such a huge difference in how you face life as well as how you face death. So good to see you all again. We look forward to our next time.
See you later.
Bye bye. Thank you.